Hey everybody, now we're back for the 1952 musical Lovely to Look At, starring Kathryn Grayson, Red Skelton, and Howard Keel. Now Tony, Howard Keel, Jerry, Gower Champion, and Al, Red Skelton, have plans for a Broadway show, but find they are underfinanced to convince anybody to back the show. Then Al receives letters stating that his Aunt Roberta had passed away, and he had inherited half of her dress shop in Paris. So Tony, Jerry, and Al make the trip to Paris to sell Al's half to help finance their show. But they find that the shop, now run by Stephanie, Kathryn Grayson, and her sister Clarice, Mars Champion, has seen better years. With the creditors closing in, the three men decide to convince them to put on the big fashion show with music, dancing, and comedy and stuff. Of course, there are different romances brewing as Jerry and Clarice fall for each other, while Al falls for Stephanie. She likes Tony, and Tony likes her, except his girlfriend, Bubbles Cassidy, Ann Miller, shows up, but ends up falling for Al. But when one of the models, Zsa Zsa Gabor, introduces them to producer Max Foglesby, Kurt Kasner, who offers them the chance to do their show immediately. Will they stay to help with the fashion show, or will they return to New York? Now, as the second filmed version of the Broadway musical Roberta, following the Astaire and Rogers film from the 1930s, this film brought back some songs dropped from the earlier film while retaining some that were written for it. Having seen the earlier Roberta many times, Lovely to Look At was a movie I was curious about, but had low expectations for when I first saw it nearly a decade ago. All I can say is that I am glad I was curious, as it has become one of my favorite movies, and usually one I try to watch at least once a year. The score, with music written by Jerome Kern, and lyrics by Otto Harbach, and a few updated lyrics by Dorothy Fields, is absolutely wonderful. In the film That's Entertainment Part 2, Fred Astaire once said that, and I quote, Jerome Kern wrote some of the loveliest melodies I've ever heard, and none lovelier than this one, sung by Kathryn Grayson, unquote. Of course, referring to the song Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. Now that's a sentiment I very much agree with, as I very much prefer this sung version of the song. Kathryn does it so wonderfully and with so much emotion, I know I can't help but want to cry along with her as she finishes. That being said, the instrumental version used earlier in the movie for husband and wife dance team Marge and Gower Champion is even better yet. Now, it is such a wonderful combination of beautiful music and breathtaking dancing. It's a moment in the movie I look forward to watching every time. And for those who noticed, it made my top 10 dance routines list too. Now, also worth noting for Marge and Gower Champion is the song I Won't Dance, a fun and flirtatious song and dance between the two that is full of fun and a lot of lifts as well. Now, of course, with Red Skelton in the cast, you can bet there's room for some comedy too. Early on, he gets a chance as he rides an elevator that looks so unsafe in how it moves that most of us would much rather walk up the stairs after seeing it in action. And then a bit later, when somebody else tries to use it, and we get to listen to him with his very badly mangled French. But I would say that Red's best moment in this movie is probably his Irish tenor comedy bit later in the movie. Seriously, if you can get through that without laughing, I don't know what you're even reading about this film for. Or it's so good, it's one of the best moments of the movie, I think. Overall, very much a fun musical that I always enjoy. I bet the fashion show sequence at the end of the movie is a bit odd and jarring, which is partly due to the fact that that sequence was directed by Vincent Minnelli instead of Mervyn LeRoy, who directed the rest of the movie. With the Marge and Gower dance routine of yesterday's really being a bit of a jolt, but over time and multiple viewings, I've still come to appreciate the whole sequence just as much as the rest of the movie. I very highly recommend the movie if you get the chance to see it. This movie is available on DVD from Warner Archive Collection and is 1 hour and 42 minutes in length. Well, that's all I have to say on this one, everybody. Thanks for listening, and I hope you'll be back again soon.